Well, g'day guys. Welcome back to the channel once again. Great to see so many subscribers and so many views. It's really good. Really appreciate it. Yeah, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, yeah, subscribe, hit the bell, and give us a thumbs up if you like it. Helps along the YouTube journey and well helps me keep making more videos. Hopefully you like some of them, and hopefully lots of you out there will get a bit of a giggle and a bit of an insight as to what's in all this old technology. Speaking of old technology, this one's next. It's a quickie, I think. Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be quick. And look at that. It's a clock radio. Okay. Now it's a Panasonic, and it's the flip numbers, the old flippers. Now, a lot of you young people would never have seen these, heard of them, let alone how they work. So the idea of this video is I don't know what's wrong with this. I want to sort of resurrect it, get it going, give it a bit of a clean up, probably put it on the shelf. So to give us an idea of what's inside these things, how technology was in the 60s, 70s, mainly the 70s with this. Now, it's a National Panasonic, so this was a little bit on the way to Panasonic from the National era. It is, let's have a look here. It's an RC6030. Okay, now I'll give you a bit of a close-up on just the label there of what we're looking at underneath. If I can find the camera. Okay, there we go. How's that? So that's what we've got. As you can see, it's 50 hertz or 60 hertz. And, well, it's 240 volt only. So this would have been, this one come into Australia. Over here, we've got tuning. Now, we do have AM and FM on this one. Okay, so we've got our tuning over on this side, and it actually works. On top, let's have a bit of a look here. I'm sorry, but the monitor over there is the reverse of what I'm looking into the camera, and it's a little bit of a trick. AM FM switch. We've got volume. Over here, we've got on, off, and auto. Okay. In the middle, we've got a little timer that's actually 60 minutes. I think it's a 60-minute timer. Not sure how that's working. That feels a bit ordinary, that one. So we've got to have a look at that. And the number flippers. So we can go around, and the end one. Yeah. How about we get a better picture? How about I get the camera over here and I can explain a little bit nicer of what's on this thing. And then we'll rip it apart. We'll have a look, fix up anything that's got to be done. As I said, I don't know whether it works. It being a National Panasonic, they're a pretty classy little unit. So hopefully all will be okay with it, and we can do a quick clean up, repair if necessary, and yeah, see what goes. Let's have a closer look. That's a bit nicer, isn't it? So FM, top of the scale. AM, bottom of the scale. Flip numbers. So as we turn, they flip over. Okay, now I know a lot of you other techs out there think, yeah, okay, well, everyone's seen these, but a lot of people wouldn't have seen these. And let's have a look how this whole thing ticks. On the end here is our alarm, and we can set that alarm anywhere you want. Now, providing it's on auto, it'll just turn the radio on. I think there may be a buzzer. I don't know. I think this one's radio only when the alarm goes off. I've showed you guys underneath. 50 hertz it's set on at the moment. It needs a good clean. It's fairly yucky. So we'll probably strip the insides out, clean all the case and put him back together. I'm not expecting any huge dramas, but you never know. Up here, we can see AM, FM, and yeah, very, very hard switch there. So yeah, don't know what's happening. Volume. And our tuning, which is all one knob, even though it looks like two, it's not. And the tuning moves very nicely. Free and very easy. Okay, on the back, what have we got here? We've got a little bit of a corroded arrangement there, very corroded actually, of an aerial. Now that aerial, it's for FM. I don't know whether you can see that. I'll try and get the light. It's where can I? No, we can't see it. It does say FM external antenna about there. How's that? FM external and the antenna symbol there. And as you can see, a little bit of green gunk in there, which will certainly need cleaning up. Righto, enough chit chat, Baz. Let's get on with it. Let's get this thing apart and have a look what's inside. Yes, okay, well, a little bit of repair job here, but they might not be able to repair real well because we haven't got. Oh yes, we've still got a piece missing out of this. Anyway, we'll find a way of doing that. I don't think there's another piece down in there. By the look of it, let's get the volume control, the volume pot. Let's get the volume knob out. And yeah, there's some rubbish in there. Okay, this fella here. So far the knobs are coming off not too bad. That's your tuning knob. Bit of rubbish. Let's see if we can lift the top. Okay, here we go. And yes, there's certainly a little bit of cleaning up needed in this department. First of all, before I break it, I'm going to unsolder the speaker. Okay. Now, I haven't turned my iron on at the moment, so just bear with me for a sec. The rest, yeah, lots of fluff and dirt and, yeah, incredible. Obviously been in a bedroom. Now, there's a couple of very sus-looking little caps. That fella there, being up near the detector diode, would probably be your coupling cap to your volume control. Or maybe this one here or here. These little grey fellas should be replaced. We'll check the board out, see if any of the caps need replacing and replace them. Power transformer, a little, what have we got there? It's a little coil. Something to do with a little bit of noise reduction, maybe. But anyway, we've got our power transformer goes here. Diode, there's a diode there. Looks like only half wave or something like that. Comes over to your main board. This is also interrupted, the power supply, by this little fella here, which is your alarm cam that turns him on and off at specific times when this fella moves around. Anyway, we'll get to all that. There's a little switch there that he pushes on. Obviously, when something gets, he's a bit tight. Let's not worry about him yet. Okay, get our speaker off so we don't pull the terminals off the speaker. There we go. Now the other thing we'll do, take the speaker out, three screws there, and we can clean up the rest of the case. We'll wash all this and get him a little bit nicer. Remove our front panel. No, it doesn't want to. There's our clock assembly itself, as held by two screws there, and obviously this comes out. So where do we start? Okay, we start by plugging it in. Let's see if this is going to make a noise. I will use dim bulb just in case. I will also, so we've got the speaker out now, and I didn't really want to damage it. Let's plug in my external speaker. Set him up here. Let's turn him on. And yes, our clock is working. If you notice right in there, we can see the little motor turning that turns the clock. Now, can I get you guys down? Can you see that? Right down in there, a little clock assembly, and the motor's going nicely. Right, whether it changes time or not is another thing. Volume. And we don't have any volume. Okay, is this in the right position? Is that on? Oh, okay. And
I, for some reason, believe that. I don't know whether I speak from experience. Maybe they think that the
and
restaurant's
there we
very
go.
lucky to have them there. The John Oars Morning Show.
An extremely dirty pot.
Enjoy cafe quality coffee.
It's actually working quite well.
Technology and automatic manual.
Right, our radio is working. So all we've got to do is sort of a bit of cleaning up here. We'll lift this board, check the caps. We'll take the clock assembly out. Now somewhere in here, in this or here or somewhere. There should be lights. I'm thinking there should be lights anyway. So can't see anything there yet. Maybe in under here. I don't know. I can't see any evidence of any lights in this area. You'd think there would be. Maybe underneath. Okay, well, we know the unit works. We'll unplug him. We know he's working fine there. Disconnect my speaker. Right. Now, what we've got to do is lift this board and get this assembly, transformer, wiring here, everything lifted up off this. All this has got to come apart to clean it. So let's start doing that. Right, now guys, we're getting him apart. Now, the board, you can see that the tuning gang is geared, and this is on a little spline that moves along there. Now, when we, of course, put this together, this is going to have to mesh in the correct position. We'll do all this when we get it back, when we're putting it back together. But this little fella has to mesh in the correct position of our needle, which moves there. Okay, so there's a closer view of him. And there's our little motor in there for the clock. We're going to pull all this out. And I don't know whether all this will come out as one piece. I think it may, because what we've got to do now is unscrew our clock assembly. Okay, this is where things probably get hairy with everything falling down. Okay, a couple of little threaded screws there. And our clock assembly comes out. And that's it. Yeah. Something I noticed here on the clock assembly. A little lamp that shines on our flip numbers. Okay, there's no little lamp over this side. This is actually a 10-volt motor. Put a slight little bit of lube in him when we're doing him. We'll replace the lamp, which is obviously not working, so that the numbers light up. And not much to our clock, really. That's the whole assembly. That's your whole radio assembly and our power transformer. That's it. So, looks to be pretty straightforward to work on. Put him aside, and let's have a look here at what we've got. Now, this assembly, I think, yes, just lifts up like so. That way we can clean this And we have a screw there. He just fell out from underneath the clock mechanism. Yeah, this one, very easy to clean now. We can wash this up with some dishwashing liquid and a sponge or something. Clean all this up, clean him up. That's no worries. This fella. So we want to take this out. We're going to take the front of this if we can. Yes, we've got a little catch here, one here, one here. So the actual front comes off this. There's a little screw here. I'm going to take all this out because it'll all have to be cleaned up and lubed. So, yeah, it's, as you can see, fairly dirty. Okay, let's get into him. Let's get this little fella. He's little Phillips. Get him out of there. Now, on this assembly, there's no timing. This can go at any position. The only timing is when you mesh the tuning gang with this fella. Okay, take him out. And now this fella should lift up and slide out. I think this slides out like so. We push in, and boy, we don't need to break anything here either. There we go. Right. And now we can take our pointer out. And there's our little gear. There we go. We just push them down. Okay. And there we are. We've got a separate front. We'll polish this up. A few scuff marks and things like this on the front. We'll give him a polish. We'll clean him all up. Okay, now we're up to our dial. And it's obviously stuck on there. I'm hoping that we'll be okay with water. Pretty sure it will be. It looks to have been printed on there, but it's actually been glued. There's metal strip there, and you can see down in the bottom of it there where it has been glued. So he won't come off in a hurry. But anyway, we can work around that. I just hope that when he goes in a little bit of water, although this shouldn't affect it, it's been more or less painted on. So, all right. So that is the total of everything. We've got the whole thing apart. The thing we have to repair now, because of me, is that fella there. And I'm sure some super glue on there will work quite well after we clean this up. So we've got some stuff to wash up. And we also have to check some caps here. So first of all, before we clean up too much, let's check some caps and see what their ESR is to start with. And just before we go and give this a tub, just taking the screws out of the speaker. Yeah. Okay. There's our speaker. And yeah, a little bit of boy. Gee, where has this thing been? Anyway, there's a little bit of work there to do on repairing the speaker. This will be interesting. Yeah. So I'll just get you guys back. I can't see what I'm doing here, but there we go. Yeah, a little bit to do there and there and around here. A little bit of cleaning up with this fella, guys. But we can repair this. It's not too bad. I've seen worse, but probably not much worse. And boy, that is cake. That is so thick. Okay, so we've got a little bit of patching here. I'd say a little bit of tea bag along there, and yeah, a little bit of clear lacquer on the tea bag, and he will fix that. But there's lots of other little places. In actual fact, it's 32 ohm. I was going to say we could put another speaker in, but a 32 ohm speaker I do not have. And as far as getting one, well, yeah, let's fix this one up. Well, as you heard, it does work. So that's the main thing. We can patch the holes and get him working. Okay, let's get on and clean all this up and come back to the video. Guys, I don't think I'm going to go any further with these. I'm going to replace all the electrodes. They're the little grey fellas. They're renowned to chuck it in. These fellas, the same. What brand? There's not even a brand written on them. Yeah, they're Mitsubishi, and yeah, I don't know what the other fellas are. VDS written on it. Yeah, I think all these caps go, and yeah, we might even do a quick alignment on this little fella too. It should be pretty basic, but anyway, we'll see. If he's performing well, we won't do that. I'm not going to go through the ESR thing. I'm going to replace the caps. Okay, you've seen me replace caps before. They're standard electrodes. I'm going to do that and come back to you. I'll be back in a few seconds for you guys. Well, that's all the capacitors changed, all the electrodes. I'm happy with that. And now we'll clean the board. Now, my cleaning boards, I like cleaning the flux off the boards after I've finished doing a job. I nearly always use methylated spirits. Nothing fancy, and I think I've told you guys this before anyway. You don't have to have anything special for this, just as long as it removes the flux off the board. You don't have to do that. You don't have to remove the flux at all. But I like leaving the board as clean so that you really can't recognise that anyone has done any work on it. I like it neat and clean. Okay, so if you're doing PCB work or something, if you're a young fella, not always get conned into a special circuit board cleaner. Metho does the job pretty nice. And of course, your wife's toothbrush also helps. Yeah, just don't tell her about it. Right, we'll get nice clean piece of rag and finish that off. Okay, that's done. Caps are done. How about we squirt a little bit of contact cleaner? And there's my phone telling me I've got messages. And a little bit of cleaner in there. And I'm sure that will be fine. Right, next job, this switch. Now, as I said, I'm going to take this switch out and work on it on the bench. Show you what's inside, what to do with a switch like this. It's jammed. I don't want to push it. It's probably very straightforward. Probably would work with some lube sprayed in there. But lube like contact cleaner or WD-40 will only jam the plastic a little bit worse probably than what it is. So I'm going to unsolder him now, which 6 contacts there and the 4 mounting lugs. Well, that wasn't a real easy thing to suck the solder off. I don't know whether he's free yet or not. I don't think so. He should break away from there. Yeah, got that side. What we've got to remember is there's a name there. Yeah, there's an actual name on this. It's on the outside of the board. So that's the way he come out. Mind you, there's a little bit of solder holding him there. Plus one of the pins, back pin there, the end of him broke off. And why you would put a switch in a circuit like this, a little clock radio, and bend all the pins over so the switch doesn't escape is, yeah, got me a bit bamboozled. I don't understand why you would do that. Where do they think the switch is going to go to? It's a clock radio. Okay, just get a little bit more solder off there. There we go. Okay, there we are. He's out. There's a name there, which is Hoiston or something like that. And on the other side, there's just a number. So that's the way he goes in. Okay. Now, you can see where one of those little fellas on this side broke off, but it does stick through the board enough. Failing that, we can always drill the hole out just a little bit bigger and get the solder onto the pin that way. Okay, let's clean him up and open him up and see what's going on in here. Now we can open this little fella up with just a pair of cutters and just gently push those fingers aside. And I know all you techos out there will know this, but there might be some newbies out there that might come across a switch assembly like this, and yeah, this may help. Right. So now, gently, very gently, we can just get him apart like so, and remove the bottom. And there's only one connector. There's only one connector in this switch. Am I missing something? The others are that tarnished. They're absolutely black. I'm not real sure whether this is supposed to have double pole. Well, I'm guessing it does. Yes, it certainly does. So now we're in a bit of bother because there's only one little bridge on him. We may have to pull another switch apart to get another bridge. And that fairly tarnished, isn't it? So that wouldn't have been working real well. But anyway, that's one of our problems. And we'll hang on. I think the other fella is in the center of this. There he is. Oh, okay. They look fine. The fingers look fine. No doubt we'll run a bit of paper through them just to clean them. And there we go. And there's a little ball jumped out. And that little ball will be on a spring in there. And he runs between those two little windows in there. Okay. So we've got to clean all this up, make him nice and clean. Now there is another ball on the other side. Let's get him out. There we go. So that he doesn't go astray. And there's obviously a little spring in there. Can I get some solder? I push the spring out. There we go. There's our little spring. Right. So we can clean all this up now. And especially these fellas. So I haven't got any deoxit with me. Normally I'd use that, but I haven't got it at the moment. So probably we'll just use contact cleaner and probably on, as I said, a couple of pieces of, fold a piece of paper over and use it as a cleaner. Okay, let's do that and see if we can get this little fella working properly. Now what I've got here is just some ordinary contact cleaner, and it's doing a pretty good job on this on those little on the little contacts. So we might get away with this actually, although that end one's a little bit tarnished. We'll use some of this, okay, and we'll put a bit on my little famous cotton buds. Only need a little bit, and see how we go. Yeah, that's cleaning him nicely. That's good. It's getting rid of all the tarnish that was on there. You guys can probably see that. I think there's or see it enough. Yeah, so I'm using Brasso cleaner, metal cleaner. I'd say Silvo would do the same job. That's looking good. I'm going to leave that and then we'll put some cleaner on it and get rid of the residue on there. And these little fellas, let's get some paper and we'll run through and I'll show you what I mean with those. Now, what I'm using here is just an old business card. Slide these fellas on like so. Okay, same with the next one. And I can even see some black coming off the contacts on the card already. So what I do now, spray the card with a little bit of contact cleaner, both sides, and just running backwards and forwards. Okay, that's enough. Doesn't take long to get rid of the rubbish off them. There. Right. And as you can see, yeah, little bit of black rubbish coming off them. So once again, good old cotton buds. Clean him up. There was some grease in here and it's sort of gone hard. That's why things were not moving real well. Now, I think we're nearly ready to reassemble. First of all, we put this in. Now, how we're going to do this is put our spring in, a ball, and keep him in there, and then a ball in the other side. Okay, so now we push this into here, and here we go. And there he is in position. Moving freely, not going to put too much lubricant or anything on him. So we'll put it in a position, we'll put it forward, so that when we put these fellas on, they're at the front two contacts. And, well, you got to hold your mouth properly with these fellas. There we go. Okay. Now, other side. You can't see from my big fingers here. There's not much I can do. Okay. There we go. He's on. Turn him over. The other one's on. Like so. Okay. Now we'll bend a couple of fingers over. And then once we do this, put the meter on him, see if he's okay, see if he survived the trauma. Well, guys, it's some time later that I finally got this bloody thing back together. Boy, yeah, it probably took an hour to get this thing right and back together. But anyway, he's working now. I mean, it's a switch. It's a couple of contacts. How hard could it be? Those little slides just would not sit in the right position. So anyway, there it is. Let's put it back in the board so I can get on with the show with this. I didn't record it. You don't want to see me in that sort of state trying to get this together. Okay, let's put it back on the board. Okay, now a little name on the side went to the side of the circuit board. Now it's a matter of lining this up, and I'll be stunned if this lines up. Yes, it does. Well, there we go. It's clipped in, and the little fellow that broke off is actually long enough to still put some solder on him. I don't believe this. Yeah, it went back in. Righto, let's solder him up before he jumps out again and causes me more grief. Oh boy, something so simple can just hold you up so much. Okay, get the mounting points on the switch first, so the little bugger doesn't move. There we go. And get these fellas. Now that's the one that's broken. There's no problems there. Only about a mil broke off him. So still a little stub there. Okay, there we go. He's put in. let's grab the multimeter. I've been that stressed I didn't even know where the multimeter was. Okay. Let's see. What position is he in? He's on this end, which is AM or FM. It's one or the other. Okay. Center one to there. No problems. Center one to there. No problems. Let's switch him back the other way. Center one to the back one. No problems. Center one to the back one on this side. No problems. So there we go. The switch is working. So this is good. Now, the other thing we have to do with this is put our tuning gear back on the tuning capacitor. I don't think there's anything else in there that needs soldering. There's one there. The tab on the tuning capacitor could do with a bit of a touch up. Otherwise, yeah, it all looks pretty good. Okay, let's get him on. Now, this fella being a round gear, there's only a couple of ways he can go, but it can go either way of the 180 degrees because it's just a round gear. So there's no particular way as long as he sits down like that. Center screw. And there we go. Right. Okay. We've done our switch and it works. How good is that? Right. We've cleaned our pot, done the caps. We've got a broken wire here from moving this around. I'll tack him back on. Now it's time to get to this little bit, the clock itself, and our little light bulb that's got to go in it. What I'm going to do when I've done this is disconnect the transformer from this little board here, just so it makes this a bit easier to handle, and I'm not dragging the transformer around. Up here, 240 volts, guys. If you're working on one of these, just remember that there can give you a very nasty shock, burn, or worst case, put you in a box. So just always be careful. I'm not using a dim bulb for this one. I know the unit works. I'm just turning this on now. Number one, to check the voltage on the motor, just to make sure it's 10 volts AC. And does the light bulb work on 10 volts, 9 volts? What voltage light are we going to put in there? Okay, so plugging in, he's plugged in. Okay, our little motor, as you can see, is running there. Okay, let's check the voltage, AC voltage, to your light bulb, and it's 10. Okay, so we'll put a 9 volt bulb in there. That'll be fine. The motor, I guess, is running off the same line. If I can get this, 10 volts. Now, a lot of these motors are 240. This is good to work on because it's only 10 volts. The only bit you've got to watch is that bit over there, which is live. Okay, let's find another bulb and get him in here. I'll be using, it looks like a 5 mil maybe type of lamp. Anyway, we'll get him out first and then we'll measure him up and get one to fit. Unplug, guys. Make sure of that. Okay, let's disconnect the transformer from this board so I'm not dragging him around. There we go. And these, I don't want to break this little clip. I think he comes up a little bit and out. Yep. Comes forward. Yep. Right. Here we go. And if we can get this out of here one lead at a time. Ooh, he makes a little click sound, and you think, oh, gee, what have I broke? No worries, it's all good. Right, a little bit of discoloration there from the heat. Yes, we could put an LED in there, but no, I like lamps. So anyway, there he is. He won't be quite as blue as what he was. He's a little bit discoloured, but yeah, I'd like to use the original there anyway. Right, there he is. What's written on him? Probably nothing of any importance. No, certainly nothing of any importance. Anyway, it's a 9 volt and it looks like about a 4 mil. So let's get our lamps. I've been thinking about this with our lamps. Being 10 volts AC, it's AC, 10 volts, it'll run a 9 volt bulb pretty hard on AC, and I want this to last quite a while. This could have been a 12 volt bulb, so I'm putting a 12 volt back in and slightly less milliamps. It's slightly smaller, it's a 4 mil, not a 5 mil on the size itself, plus it's almost half the current of a 9 volt one, just being a smaller lamp. So I'm going to put that in. It'll do the job, it'll do it nicely, and it'll probably last forever. Whereas if I put a 9 in, well, yeah, we don't want to be changing this down the track. So let's put this in, start him up again, and see what he looks like. It should be fine. Right, now, first of all, I'm just going to tack these on here. I'll bring the transformer back in, tack him on there, and see how bright the lamp is. Let's see what our lamp looks like. And that certainly should be bright enough for the clock at night. Definitely. And that little lamp will last pretty well forever. It'll certainly outlast this little clock. That's good. I'm pleased I put a 12 and not a 9 in there. Righto, this fella next. Okay, now I'm mainly doing this exercise to show you guys what's inside this thing, how it all works. And I guess, as I say, lots of people out there know, some don't know. When you're doing these, be careful, don't put any pressure on these little flippers because they'll break very, very easily. You've only got to push on them the wrong way and you break the little tabs off the sides of them. And it's a bit of bother to get them working again. Okay, there's our little motor. We can take the whole thing out. Well, normally we can. There we go. Now he's out. Righto. Our little lever for, that's the 50 cycle or a 60 cycle, which just alters a gear inside this. This is just a little clock gear. A little plastic gear on the end of him that drives the clock. Nothing fancy in here, just a whole heap of gears. I have taken these apart before, and boy, this thing just falls apart. It's sort of a one-way thing, bit hard to get off. So we're not going to have a look in the gearbox. It's just a series of clock gears. There's not much to it. Now, this fella here, normally they do give a little bit of a problem on their little bearings inside. Takes very, very little to clean them. Once you clean them, they probably never give problems again. Okay, so as he sits there, he's not quite as free as what he could be. Now this thing just runs, more or less floats on a tiny plastic and a little brass bearing and a plastic sleeve on the inside, the 10-volt ones on the inside of the shaft. It's it's a strange arrangement, but normally contact cleaner works perfectly on these fellas. So we'll try a little bit of that. Now we should be getting, he sort of stops and doesn't pole back into position. We want him to just rock a little bit when he stops. He does sometimes, but yeah, not quite free enough. Now we can't get at the bearing. We can't pull this apart without pulling the whole thing apart. So we just go in the top, just through one of the holes, and a tiny little bit of contact cleaner. Spin him around a few times. A little bit better. Just a little bit more. And sit him like so. Get some cleaner in there. And he's a little bit better than what he was. Certainly easier to turn. He's not locking into position, not poling as well as the other fellas, the 240-volt ones. Now, there's a few little spots here that just need touching up on the black stripes. So a good old texter. Texter can do that. You'll see that running, and as you see, when he goes around, he's fine. Put his lid back on. Let's put him back in. Not too tight. And, yep, he's done. Now, what we want to do is make sure the whole thing is working and his number flips over when the time comes around. So we're going to look at a clock for at least 1 minute. This will be fairly boring, and see if he turns over. And I might even slow this down for you after it's done, and you can see the actual flip over of the numbers. I reckon that'll be pretty cool. And let's see if we've got a flipper. Okay, so these are out of the road. Everything else is out of the road. We're on 714. Okay, this is going to be pretty boring. I might put a little bit of background music or something behind it, but sometimes silence keeps you watching. Okay, let's go. 714. And he's going. Our lamp's going. And if all goes well, that little gearbox should be doing his job and turning the shaft that these numbers are on. And just a moment, I'm going to bring you in closer. I'll pause this for a minute. Righto, guys. This is a bit like watching paint dry, isn't it? Okay, we're at 714. Let's start this again. And you can see what's going on now. And that 14, the top of the 14 should flip as soon as he gets the edge of that little finger on top. Well, I'm hoping this works. How exciting is this? I'm sure you are all thrilled watching this happen. Oh, he's getting close to the edge. He's almost a flipper. Oh, so close. And any second. Oh, look at that. How's that? That is cool. Okay, do you want to see 716? I can keep the video going. If, after this, I'll drag out this segment and slow down if I can. I think I'm recording at 30 frames, and I should be on a lot more than that, about 120 for doing this. But anyway, we'll slow it down a little bit and you can see what's going on. So we're about to go to, well, every minute to 16. Let's see if it makes another minute. Then we'll call it and do something constructive, like putting this thing together. Here we go. We ready? Any second. Ah, look at that. 716. Okay, all that's working. So let's stop this madness and get the rest of it put back in its case and see how it all looks. Now it's time to get this thing back together. Let's start by putting the clock into position. And there's 2 screws. Hold the clock in position from underneath. Okay. Clock's in. Now, the next thing we need to sort of get out of the road is the transformer. That's our front assembly on. And this fella, well, how are we going to set him? So what we've got to do is find out, before we put this gear against the worm gear here, we've got to find out where our tuning capacitor is in relation to being open or closed. Now that is fully closed. It's going to be the low end of the band, so down to about there. Yes, that does work fine. That's fully meshed. This one's fully at the end, and that's sort of all there is to it.
We are British. We should be saying day, month, year.
There we go.
Yes, 28th, the 28th of July, blah, 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 but they say, yeah, July 28th, blah, blah, blah. And as I said to the
And that's working well. There we go.
Night and day. Sure been restless since you went away.
And we all know who's singing that song. Okay, everything's working, guys. Everything's working well. So let's see what's got to be done with the speaker now. Oh dear. What can we do with this? Okay. Give us a little bit closer look at it. It adds to the impact. I don't know whether this is going to be worth rescuing, although strangely enough, this speaker sounded okay when we first tested this radio. I would probably have another speaker for it. Not the point. Let's fix this one up. Just got to get all this gunk out of it. And, well, this is a clock radio. It's not a hi-fi unit, so we're not relying on the speaker to perform extremely well. Right, guys, well, we cleaned him up a bit. He's not looking too bad. He's just got a hole in him, a couple of holes, and some little ones around the outside. So the little ones are not a concern. This one, it's a little bit of a patch across there, so we might use a tea bag, or I'll probably cut a piece of coffee filter. It seems to work pretty well, and just to put him in there, and we'll patch him on around the edges. Just not real sure how this is going to sound. Coffee filter. Here we go. It's time for my famous coffee filter patch. We'll cut this fella around in roughly the same shape as the cone. How are we going here? Now, I think what I'm going to do here is spray some glue on the other side of our coffee paper and just glue him on there. We've sprayed this fella. He's got plenty of spray on the back of him. Let's get him on here. Just like that. And it doesn't look real good, but you don't see this speaker, so it's not really going to worry us too much. Push him around the edges. Now I'll probably put a little bit of liquid electrical tape just along the edges there to give it the flexibility around the edge. That's nice. That's very nice. Okay, and I'll also, just on the edges here, so there's no vibration or anything, it hasn't actually gone right down into the rim, but you can see that it moves there. We'll put our electrical tape along there, which will give it the suspension along that little area there. Okay, let's do that, and I think that will be a success. There's nothing better than the old coffee filter, but you need something a little bit stronger, or a couple of them, if you're doing a bigger speaker. Well, guys, I reckon that looks pretty good. All the little holes are sort of filled in, and we've got our patch on there, which will do the job nicely. The back of it, everything's free, nothing's touching, no glues come through or anything like that. I think we're right with this. We'll wait till he dries a little bit, and I'll come back and, well, 2 seconds time, we'll connect him up and see what he sounds like. Okay, he's dried off considerably. It's been half an hour, so time to put him in, screw him in, and connect him up, and hopefully he will sound amazing for a clock radio. Okay, he's all connected up. Give you guys a little bit better look at him. There he is. Okay, let's plug him in, see if he works, see if the speaker sounds. And that sounds amazing. Yeah, very, very nice. Let's find, as I said, not too many stations in here.
I wish to have it now, and I've got photos of it, and I just love it.
What a brilliant thing.
It was amazing,
and it sounds perfect. Excellent. Okay, let's get him together, get this job finished.
What's the indexation rate on those loans, and therefore how much sort of the interest cost, if you like, has been discounted for inflation? The indexation rate for fixed was set in those olden days when inflation was very low.